Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and seen pure hatred, only to discover that kindness was the only thing strong enough to break it? Imagine losing everything you own in one terrifying night. Your home, your memories, your family photos reduced to ashes because one angry neighbor believed she had the right to control your life. Now imagine standing in a courtroom months later, looking at the very person responsible as she realizes the judge about to decide her future is the same man whose life she tried to destroy. Before we begin this unforgettable story, welcome to Heartline Stories. If stories about kindness, justice, and second chances inspire you, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more powerful stories that remind us kindness can change lives. The summer I moved into Maple Ridge Estates, I wanted only one thing, a peaceful life. After years of working long hours as an attorney, I had finally been appointed as a state judge. It was a dream I had chased for decades. I bought a modest house with a small front porch, planted flowers in the yard, and hoped to enjoy quiet evenings with my golden retriever, Charlie. Most of my neighbors welcomed me with smiles. They brought homemade cookies, introduced themselves, and made me feel at home. Everyone except one woman. Her name was Linda, but everyone quietly called her the HOA Karen. She seemed to believe the neighborhood belonged to her. She measured people's grass with a ruler, complained about mailbox colors, and even reported children for riding bicycles too loudly. Within my first week, I received 3 complaint letters from the Homeowners Association, all signed by Linda. Apparently, my flower pots were the wrong shade of blue. Instead of arguing, I smiled every time I saw her. "Good morning, Linda," I would say. She never smiled back. "You'll learn the rules," she answered coldly. One afternoon I noticed an elderly widow named Mrs. Carter struggling to carry groceries. I helped her inside and fixed a broken step on her porch. Linda watched from across the street. "You shouldn't help people break HOA regulations," she shouted. Mrs. Carter looked embarrassed. "It's just a loose board," I replied calmly. Linda shook her head and walked away. Months passed, and her complaints became more aggressive. She accused me of parking incorrectly, trimming trees without permission, and even feeding birds. Every accusation was false. Still, I refused to fight. The other neighbors often apologized for her behavior. "I don't know why she hates you," one neighbor admitted. I simply answered, "Sometimes people carry pain we cannot see." One October evening I attended a charity fundraiser for families who had lost their homes in natural disasters. Ironically, while I was helping raise money for strangers, my own life was about to change forever. At nearly midnight my phone rang. Judge Anderson, a firefighter, asked urgently, "Your house is on fire." My heart nearly stopped. By the time I arrived, nothing remained except burning beams and thick smoke. Charlie had escaped thanks to a brave neighbor, but every photograph, every letter from my late parents, every personal memory had disappeared forever. Fire investigators believed the blaze was suspicious. Someone had poured gasoline around the back porch. Security cameras from nearby homes eventually revealed a shocking image. Linda. She had entered my property carrying a fuel container only minutes before flames appeared. She was arrested the next morning. The entire neighborhood stood in disbelief. As police placed handcuffs on her wrists, she screamed, "He deserved it. He thought he was better than everyone else." Even then, I said nothing cruel. I simply looked at her and quietly replied, "I hope one day you find peace." Because I had personally suffered from the crime, another judge initially handled the case. But weeks later, unexpected legal complications forced a reassignment after conflicts of interest removed several judges from hearing it. The Chief Justice called me into his office. "The defense has requested a bench trial under unusual procedural circumstances," he explained. "Legally, you may preside if you believe you can remain completely impartial." I thought long and hard. Justice demanded fairness, not revenge. So I accepted. The courtroom became completely silent the morning Linda entered. She walked confidently until she looked toward the bench. Then she froze. Her face turned completely pale. "You?" she whispered. I simply nodded. The court is now in session. Throughout the trial, prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence. Security footage. Gasoline purchases. Witness testimony. Even Linda's fingerprints were found on the fuel container. Her own attorney quietly admitted the evidence was impossible to overcome. When it came time for sentencing, everyone expected anger. Instead, I spoke softly. Linda, you destroyed my home. You erased priceless memories that can never be replaced. But if I allow hatred to guide my decision today, then this fire burns twice. Tears slowly rolled down her face. For the first time, she looked less angry than broken. She confessed something nobody expected. Years earlier, she had lost her husband and son in a tragic accident. Unable to process her grief, she tried to control everything around her. Every tiny neighborhood rule became a way to feel powerful in a life filled with pain. Her actions were still unforgivable. But suddenly they became understandable. I sentenced her according to the law, including prison time, restitution, mandatory counseling, and community service after release. Justice had to be served. But before ending the hearing, I said one final sentence. I truly hope counseling gives you the peace you couldn't find by hurting others. Months later, I rebuilt my home. Neighbors volunteered weekends to paint walls, plant flowers, and replace furniture. Mrs. Carter baked pies for every volunteer. Children planted new trees in my yard. The kindness of the community rebuilt far more than a house. It rebuilt hope. 2 years later, I received an unexpected letter. It was from Linda. She apologized without excuses. She wrote that counseling had changed her life and that she finally understood how much pain she had caused. She had started volunteering with families who had lost homes in fires, hoping to give others the compassion she had once refused to show. I folded the letter carefully and smiled. Forgiveness doesn't erase scars. But it keeps those scars from controlling your future. Today, every time I walk onto my front porch, I remember that terrible night. Yet I remember something even more important. A house can burn. Memories can disappear. But kindness, once shared, has a way of surviving every fire. If this story touched your heart, remember that every person you meet may be carrying a burden you cannot see. Choose kindness even when it's difficult. Justice protects society, but kindness heals hearts. And sometimes, the greatest victory isn't watching someone fall, it's giving them the chance to become someone better. Until next time, thank you for watching Heartline Stories. Stay kind, stay hopeful, and never underestimate the power of compassion.